Hello and welcome everyone. It's great to be back for our latest episode, number 17. I'm Jodie Fielden and I'm joined with my work wife and bestie and business partner, Adri Varga. During these podcasts, we share with you how you can leverage your passion into profit. Whether you're looking to launch into the next phase, take time away from the floor, or you're looking to sell your business and cash out on your investment, you're in the right place because we've just about done it all. And we're here to share with you that you can too, because it's time to believe your business can be everything you ever wanted.
Absolutely. And hello, everyone, and welcome back. So in today's episode, we want to talk about what happens when you decide to take your business in a new direction.
Yeah, it can be really scary. I think it can be the biggest step is that first step, I think, but the fear holds most of us back from like, what if, what happens, what if everyone leaves me and no one likes any of the changes, or how much is it going to cost me?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's very important. We were talking about a little bit about this in our last episode. Why are team members leaving? Because they are looking for something new, and that we don't have a concept when we are starting our salon business or studio business. How we really should set up a business so it's going to be successful right from the beginning. So we start the way we think it's right, and normally we start, we are working full time in our business, and we are focusing on our clients, and then we start to employ team members, and then the problems are coming because we have different personalities. We don't know how to manage them. We don't know really what to do with them. We expect them to know what they should do or how they should do things, but we already talked about it. That's not really their job. It's our responsibility. So what we wanted to talk about today is when we realize that is something wrong in our business because people are leaving, or we can't find team members because what we are offering is not good enough on the market, or maybe we are not happy with the clients we are looking after, or maybe we are not happy with our pricing because we are not making enough money. And this is when we need to consider, well, then we need to start to do some transformation. And you are absolutely right. It's going to come back to what is holding us back to do or to start any change. It is the fear of losing everything, fear of losing our team members, fear of losing our clients.
So how do you get over the fear though? Everyone talks about, that the fear is there and it's real. But can you go through just a couple of steps of what you can do that's tangible to overcome that initial, I don't know, is it fear of the failure or fear of it being rejected? I'm not sure.
I think it's the different level of fears, like fear of objections, rejections, fear of, rejection from our team because they going to do something what they are not used to, fear of a rejection from our clients because you are taking your business to a different direction, and maybe they were hooked they loved your business because of your pricing, because you were so affordable, and it was affordable for them, but it wasn't affordable for you. So this is why you ended up in the situation where you are right now. So it's different level of fears, I think, what we can talk about.
There's a big one that I just popped into my head while we were talking about that, and I think it's especially when we're putting our prices up, and I used to suffer from it sometimes too, is imposter syndrome. When you're worried about like, am I really, is this real? Am I just kidding myself? Am I kidding the people around me? Like that imposter syndrome is real, I think, especially if you're looking to, level up and sort of elevate through your business across the whole board.
Yeah, and then being confident about your value and understanding your value, and it doesn't come naturally to everyone. Most of us, most of business owners, like we are questioning if people would pay, a higher price for our services, and sometimes. People have this really good mindset when they know where they are at with their career, and they actually very very good and very savvy in business, so they know how to price their services, and they know the clientele they are targeting or wanting to attract. But that's like very very tiny percentage. Most of us, we actually going to struggle here and there at one or many points of our business life with fear, and um, doubting ourselves and doubting
Mm-hmm.
what offer. Yeah.
But even that small percentage that you're talking about, what people don't realize, and we've touched on this before in other podcasts, is that they have spent time and money to learn how to be that way. They've learned how to own a business. They've learned how to manage the challenges and overcome them, and to move past the fear of being held back. I don't know of anyone that has just been, unless someone's, even people that have had their business handed to them by their parents, they need to learn. For it to be a success, they still need to learn all these things. They weren't just born with it. It's all knowledge that you need to invest in. And I think the biggest antidote to the fear is knowledge, right? Because fear is just what you don't know. It's the fear is of the unknown.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it comes back to our subconscious programming and belief system and values also, like what we keep hearing and what we learned from when we were young children about values and everything. I think it comes back to that also, because when it comes to hairdressing or beauty, not that much, but when it comes to hairdressing or even just Pilates studios, then it's really the value what we are giving to our clients and what we think it is value, it's actually not matching. And our communication and the way we are representing the business or our business is actually not matching to that.
Yeah, I think especially with these industries is that they don't value their own knowledge because they've never had that value put on the knowledge. And so they get to the point where they just don't see, they think it's just a few minutes. And I guess it's where friends and family are there, and they get us to do their hair or whatever. And they don't value it because they think that, it just takes you a minute. So we actually have some of the closest people to us are helping us devalue our own skills rather than looking back and saying, okay, I didn't pay $30,000 for a university degree. I spent, well, it's 3 years now, but it was 4 years, used to be 4 years. But I spent 3 years learning my trade. You go to TAFE. A lot of people don't realize with hairdressing is that your TAFE is equivalent to a tertiary education. You like the level of the science and things like that they're teaching in TAFE is equivalent to some of the stuff they teach in unis. Especially about the skin and all the rest of it, right? So people don't realize that learning is actually that high level. And we spend so many years perfecting our craft. So we've learnt it, but it takes a special sort of person to be able to perfect it. And the same with Pilates. It takes how many teachers are out there and you're just like, oh, that was just, and then you get the ones that you are on fire, like Liz. And and so we really value that. And they've just spent so many hours and investing in themselves that they should be remunerated for it because it is valuable. That's why, there's 20 cookie cutters out there, and you're the I don't know, a dough thing that's pretty amazing. Help me out here. I'm stacking in. Look, there's heaps of cornflakes. There's heaps that got their license from a cornflakes box, and then there's the ones that actually, invested to become amazing. I don't know where I was going with the cookie cutter. I think I'm hungry, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe. So, but then I wanted to turn back because we had a little bit of a turn here. You were asking about, like how we can overcome that fear, that multi-level fear, because it's not only one level, it's actually a multi-level. When you think about it, like you have a business which is not functioning, you are aware of it. And it's so painful now that you actually ready to do something about it, because most of the time, or many time happens, like we don't even know, like we are in denial. So we just, put our head down and we just working, and we just complaining about, the environment, the economy, or, like there are no good people out there, clients are always complaining and all those things, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is when we need to think about it. All right. So how are we going to overcome all those multi-level of fear of clients leaving, fear of clients complaining, fear of my team going to resist changing because we're going to start to do things more professionally. And, it can be a problem because that's not going to be their choice. It's your choice. So that's something what you need to understand.
There was, while we're touching on that, when you're talking about overcoming it, I was watching a podcast the other day, and I wish I could remember who it was so that I could credit it to them, and I'm sorry, I can't. They were saying, like the things that you're fearful of, write them down, and then go through the ones that you can do something about and the ones that you can't do something about, and put them in two different categories, and then begin working on the ones that you can do something about, because you don't have any control of the other ones. So look at the ones that you can, and it's at that point that you can start addressing those fears one at a time, because you're doing something about it. Because usually it's you can see that you need to do something, but it's a bit overwhelming or scary, or you don't know how, or how much is it going to cost me to do that, right?
Absolutely, and it's very, very true. Like there are different methods, and also like we need to accept. Some things can be managed, and you can do things about it, and some things are going to be more difficult. And this is when you need to make a decision: is it worth for you to actually put effort into it, or you just going to step away? Because that's a decision too. Like when we say, like I had no choice. It's actually your decision that you don't have a choice. And so many times people are said, oh, well, I didn't have a choice. And I always say, well, that was your choice. And they are looking at me and I said, like, what do you mean? And I said, well, you made a choice that you don't have a choice. And that's
that was
your
choice.
They
did have a choice. They just didn't like either of the choices.
Yeah, and they choose to not to.
They choose to
get into that they don't have a choice. But like what I wanted to talk about before, like how to manage to overcome this fear and everything. For you, firstly, you need to understand that it comes from you. So of course, it can happen that your clients or your team is not going to be that happy about it, because you making the choice to make changes is going to put them outside of their comfort zone, outside of what they are used to. And this is when you're going to think about it. Well, what kind of impact is going to have on my team? How am I going to manage it? And what kind of impact is going to be on my clientele? How am I going to manage it? How is going to look like my management level? And to accept it, that some people is going to be extremely excited about it, and some people are going to resist it, and eventually they're going to leave. And that's absolutely a normal way of when you are transforming a business or transforming your life, because not everyone is going to be happy about it. And that's the truth. And the only way you can overcome those fears and all those, little itty bitty shitty committee, how my NLP mentor used to tell us, who is telling to you why is not possible, or who is putting that doubt into your mind. You actually need to think ahead when you are going to start to transition your business. You need to understand you can't just come to your business in the morning and tell to your team and clients, that's it, we are changing everything from today.
That's something I would have done. Was like, okay, I've got an idea in my head. This is what we're doing. We're charging through, and everyone's like, "What do you mean? This isn't
exactly. So preparation, and that's the magic word here. Really, nothing else.
preparation."
Prepare yourself first, so you can see everything. You can have a plan, and then prepare your team. And how are you going to prepare them? You're going to involve them. So if you involve them in the preparation process, then
it's
more
not
than
as scary.
likely they will have time to get used to it.
And plus, they also feel like that they're a part of the change instead of the change just being foisted on them, and that they have a voice and they have choice, And I think no one likes change if it's foisted upon them.
Yes, absolutely.
Or very few. I don't know a lot of people that do.
Yeah. And this is exactly what I wanted to say, involve them. And you will be very surprised that some of your team members going to have amazing ideas, like ideas what you wouldn't even think you can actually implement as a part of this transformation. And this is when I always say, in your business, you are not alone, you have your team. But if you don't involve them, that's your decision that you need to do everything, which is not true, but you need to learn how to involve them in the right way. So if you prepare your team, and if you do the right training, and, we do give some tools, like how you can actually practice things, and, wordings and everything else. Once you prepare your team properly, then the layer underneath you is going to be ready what will come. And then
keep going.
And then your clients are going to be much, much better looked after, because if your client's going to have questions, then your team is going to be well prepared of what kind of answers they have to provide for different questions. And then the whole transformation is going to be fine. But don't be delusional. You cannot do this from one day to the other. And you are not going to, to lose your clients from one day to the other. Like when we are working on pricing, many times people are asking, but what if I put my prices up tomorrow and everyone going to leave? And it's like how possibly everyone could leave you in the same time? You have a cycle of your clients, and they will come back, then they will experience the new pricing and all the other things. And yes, maybe 10%, 15% will decide that it's not for them anymore. But then it's going to have a lot of new clients coming in who didn't do anything didn't know anything else. So they will come with the new system. And this is how you transform your business. One is going to be left behind, and the new one is going to rot in. And yes, you need to be prepared. Some of your team members going to leave. It happens.
It does. And the thing about when you increase your prices, that yes, you do have clients that don't come back, and they will be and you'll really feel that emotionally, because they're going to make quite a scene. Generally, they will make quite a scene. So you'll be taking notice of like those 3 clients that made a big scene about the price change, but you haven't taken notice of your 40 other clients that have said, yeah, it's about time you put your prices up. Or that's fine. I know that the cost of living has gone up. It's hard for everyone, you know. So you put so much focus and attention into the negative ones that you're not focusing on the ones that are happy to be paying your worth and who value you. So you really need to switch your attention from the negative ones to who values you. And I think that's also what I wanted to say about your clients when your team, when you involve them in creating the change, is that you're showing your team that you value them, that you value the information that they have. You value their input, and if you put value on what they contribute to your business, then they're going to want to contribute more because they really like someone validated. Like, we all like to be validated. We all like to hear, hey, that's a really good idea. How can we make that work? Or, you know, like, oh, what's our biggest problem? How can we fix it? You know, like coming from what TV was it? New Amsterdam, I think it's called. It's a hospital show. And he comes in and he does a complete takeover of this hospital, right? And all these doctors and nurses are really resistant to change, and they're all freaking out about what he's going to do. There's so many problems in the hospital. The hospital's running out of money. Like, it's all this real negative stuff it can be like a small business, right? So the patients are complaining, the doctors are hating it. There's lots of toxic culture going on within this hospital. And this guy comes in and he stands there, he gets them all together, and he does a bit of a speech, and he says, you know, what are the problems? And so everyone starts yelling all the problems at him. And he stands there and he listens and he says, okay, so how can I help? You know, and every time someone comes to him with a complaint, he's saying to them, how can I help? Instead of like fighting with them and arguing, or he'll say, this is the problem, how can I help? You know, and so that's what I picked that. And I know you do it in a different way, but little pea brain watching the TV, whereas Adriana doesn't watch TV. So I had my inspiration. She doesn't have a television. But yeah, the way he came in, and that's a perfect example of taking a toxic, negative, failing environment. This is like an extreme, but how you can come at it with positivity, and so that people aren't fearful, that they actually feel like that so the nurses and the doctors started feeling that they were heard and they were valued, and then they would come to him instead of you know, quitting or and things like that. And I think if your team, if you value what your team have to say, then they're confident enough to come and say and tell you things.
Yeah. And, you know, like, it's actually very, very true. It's just maybe to think about, you know, clients' complaints, and sometimes here and there, you know, like, we have clients who are, you know, unreasonable, and they would not listen. Like, whatever you can or whatever you want to offer, it's nothing good enough. And you can sense, you know, like, you could offer your whole, whatever you can, the maximum, it still wouldn't be enough. And this is when I used to do, you know, like, when I felt that I cannot win here by, you know, offering redo or whatever, then I always ask, so just tell me, you know, like, I hear what you are saying. I would like to help you. Just tell me what would make you happy. And, you know, the very interesting part is that normally they don't even know what would make them happy, because they just want to be heard, and whatever you say is just triggering another thing. So I learned to stop the big complainers. Just, yes, I see, I understand what you are saying, and I really want to make sure, you know, like, we're going to solve this problem today. So, you know, like, what would be or what would you like to see as a solution?
I think when I was pregnant, and if you've listened to our podcast before, you'll know that I was crazy as a pregnant woman. I was very unreasonable. I think there was an instance where Adriana was moving and I decided to climb up in the back of a removal truck to have a argument with 5 fully grown men. I was, 9.5 months pregnant. And I got in to argue about a bed. I climbed up in the truck. And There was something going on in the salon, and Adriana was managing for me, and I was ranting and raving, and Adriana's just stood there and she's gone, okay, all right, we can fix this. How would you like me to fix it? And I'm like, I don't know, just fix it. I
And
was so upset, but I had no idea. Yeah.
yeah, and like this can happen with our clients, it can happen with our team, like sometimes they just need to, they just need to let it out. And yeah, it can be very, very unreasonable, but many times instead of telling them what they need to do, it's actually giving them the opportunity to, all right, so what do you think is the solution? Like, what do you believe it's a fair solution in this situation? And once that person being asked, they calm down right away. And then this is when they need to think about it. And I always say, like, if you don't know your answer right now, it's absolutely fine. Like we can have this discussion tomorrow or next week. Like you can think about it. We will solve it together. That's not a problem. Like I can understand you are upset, and you need to understand that I want to make sure we're going to come up with a fair solution. So just feel free to say you don't have the answer right now. We can work out next time. And it works. It really, really works.
Every time.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, like when it comes to transitioning your business, this is when we need to think about, people are going to rejecting us. So you need to prepare for rejections. You do need to prepare your team for rejections. And people are only get upset and confused about questions when they don't know what to say, and they feel like, oh, like I felt stupid, or I felt so like it was out of blue, like I didn't know what to say. And if you prepare yourself and if you prepare your team, this transition is actually can be fun. It shouldn't be, and it doesn't need to be difficult. But we're making it by not preparing and not understanding how to do that transition. So guys, if any of you out there, thinking about that, then that your business is not right, and you thinking about, well, how can I transform my business? It's all about preparation. So start to work on yourself first, because your confidence is going to reflect your business. Like if you confuse, your whole business is going to mirror that confusion, your team, and then you're going to have all these complaining clients, and once they complain, you won't have the patience and strategy to actually respond to the complaint. So it's just going to be a never-ending engagement, and a power thing, like who is going to be right and who is not. But yes, you can transition your business out from where you are at now, and if you are not happy, and it can be done in a way that the less damage is going to be caused to your business.
Mm-hmm. And so if you are wanting to transition and you don't know where to start, you're always welcome to book in a insight session with either Adriana or myself, and we'll actually talk through with you and give you some starting points. Or if you do know where you want to start and that happens to be on your pricing, we have our upcoming retreat. So I will tell you a little bit about it, and then I'll let Adri take over. So it will be 2 days. The tickets are on sale now, and we will be reviewing your true break-even budget. So in this budget, we will look at things like your cost of business, but also, especially if you've got a team and you think, you know what, I do want to pay them more because I want to motivate them and give them something to work towards and create, a reward structure. The first place that you need to look at, if you want to reward your team, whether it's to do team building activities, whether it's to do giving them different scales for growth and development, for training, if you want to give them more training, you need to look at your break-even budget and find out how much you can afford. And if you can't afford it, all right, how much more do I need to be making? And then you go from how much more I need to be making is, okay, how can I make this much?
Yeah.
How can I make this extra revenue? Then we turn around and we look at, okay, well, where are you losing money? And these are the things that we're going to be looking at in the retreat. We're going to look at what's profitable and what's not. So you're going to know where to stop sinking money. A lot of people will put a whole heap of money into marketing, but they're not even looking at how much money they're getting back on the return of that. So we have a look at that in your budget. And we look at what's profitable and what's not. So whether it's a service that you're offering or whether it is, something else like marketing, where we will help you calculate your prices based on your budget. 80% of the salons, I'd say even closer to 89% of the salons that we speak to, their pricing's not right, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's being generous. That's being generous. And usually the ones that have got their prices right, it's just because they've done a good guess. It's not through, it hasn't been through they've done it the right way. It's generally been that they've done a really good guesstimate. So we'll look at the prices, and as soon as we look at your prices, that's the first place that you're going to end up making more money in your business. And that can be up to, like we've seen it over $100,000 just by fixing your prices. So we'll show you that. Then we'll also look at the outside of the box offers. So if you do have packages that you like to offer, then we'll have a look at how to offer those so that they're a financially viable package that has a good rate of return and a plan to keep people coming back so that they stay engaged. It's not just a one-hit wonder where they come and then they leave. Then we're going to show you how to implement your price increase. So Adriana's going to break it down into steps, and she's going to show you how to prepare your team so that your team are able to answer those tough questions and that your team feel like they're part of the change. And that change where the business is making more money, the team gets to make more money and the team get to do, more training and things like that. So having your team as part of your break-even budget and giving and educating them on that will open up the doors for so much change within the culture. It's amazing. So on day one, Adri will be looking at stress management and self-care as a business owner. That's really important because if you don't put your oxygen mask on yourself first, you can't help anyone else. We'll look at, we'll be doing some hot seats. Adri, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you hold the hot seat and what you do?
Yes, absolutely. The other thing what I wanted to mention, so this is a 2 days virtual retreat. So you don't need to leave your location. So you can do it from home or wherever you are. It's actually very flexible. It's all going to be recorded. You're going to have a certain time available for you to watch the recordings, and you can jump in and out. Like in our last retreat, we had salon owners who could come a little bit later. Some had to go, like during the day, and then, just left and came back. So it's very, very flexible. But what I wanted to talk about, can you remind me? What I wanted to talk about.
So you're going to tell us about the hot seat. What do we do with the hot seat?
Yeah, so I think the most valuable, or one of the most valuable part of this retreat is really that we going to have, and we planned enough time for you guys to give feedback. So you can actually submit to us your break-even pricing calculator, and there is a dedicated time during that 2 days. Day 1 and day 2 has dedicated time when we're going to choose, and you can actually choose to become one of the hot seat person or business, and we're going to go through detail one by one, and I'm going to give feedback. So it's all interactive. You can ask questions. Actually, when I'm going to go through your hot seat, your break-even or your pricing, and you are online with us, we're actually going to share the screen with you so you can ask questions. It's going to be just like a coaching session. It's nothing different. I will tell what I find. I will ask questions. I will give you some ideas, some suggestions. And also, we always going to make sure that end of the day, we leave plenty of time for Q&A and also business discussion.
That ends up being one of the best tools, I think, is when people can ask their questions. Because I know whenever we've done virtual retreats or virtual classes, and that is that it's great just sort of hearing someone talk, but to actually be able to get in there and ask your questions specific for you and getting someone to help you with your specific problem or your data or your business, it makes the biggest difference. So we will have hot seats on day 1 and day 2. You will have a calculator. We will give you a calculator and a business budget tracker, a business break-even budget calculator. That's what I'm trying to say. So you will have those to keep, and you'll be able to use those forever and reuse them every year, every 6 months. Whenever your break even needs to change, then you can go through, you put a couple of numbers in and it gives you all your new prices. That also will show you exactly what services or classes, because we have a specific one for Pilates studio. So they're very unique to each industry. And you can see what classes or what services are actually making money and what's costing you money. And sometimes it's a big surprise. We'll also go through, and on day 2, Adri is going to have some conflict resolution techniques. So whether it's a team member or we've been talking about sort of the conflict stuff now, she's actually going to give you the techniques. Then we will create your pricing strategy and calculate your final new price list. So you are actually going to walk away with your tangible price list